Greetings everybody! This is Nightmare060 here, and this is going to be my introduction to the Therikinexus channel. I have no idea whether I'm actually going to be getting on this channel. They have added me as a friend. I am a member of Wirelist and have associates on this channel. And I would like to be on this channel, however I don't know if they will actually put this up. And so if you are watching this and it's not on my channel and it's on the Therikinexus channel, then yay! I happen to be on. Anyway, this shall be an introduction to myself, as the title would most likely suggest. I am a Therian like many others. I know it's a bit generic to say that I am a wolf Therian, however, I am probably a Canadian timber wolf, most likely, with kind of a black colouring. I know I can see myself as the colouring, but the thing is that I am one of those who see it from a more scientific perspective, because I am a skeptic, and I am an atheist, and I am a lover of science and psychology. So I have thought quite a lot, and while I am no expert on psychology, I do know of clinical lycanthropy, and I do realise that therianthropy does share some common grounds with said condition. Now, I know a lot of Therians may not like to call what they say is a mental condition, because it's often associated with complete madness, and it's a weird dichotomy from being between not thinking that you're a werewolf, where you actually, change into a physical wolf or half-wolf hybrid yourself, and preferably not like the absolutely shitty pussy werewolves like Jacob and Twilight, but that's another rant for another time. And actually, not being like completely insane, really thinking that. But the thing is that without any negative connotations, therianthropy really is a mental state. I shall call it a mental state. We all have a mental state. We all have aspects of our personality, and we all have mental health. We may be perfectly mentally healthy and rational human beings, however we feel that in some way, one way or another, that we are much like specific animals. I myself have many animalistic urges and see my personality and the way I behave and get the urges to behave on a regular basis as being best represented by a timber wolf. And I see this as part of my psychology. I don't know exactly why, however it is basically, from what I understand, it is most likely a form of species dimorphia, or dysmorphia, however you may pronounce it. There are people who have gender dysmorphia, who may feel that they do not identify with their own gender and wish to change gender, and so this is, in a sense, being a species dysmorphia. And, throughout human history, we have idolised and, seen quite powerful the animals around us. The Africans would see the lions and the snakes and all that. The Indians specifically with the snakes and the tigers. The Norse and the Vikings had the wolves and the ravens as their powerful mythological beings. And we have combined said animals into various forms, like peritons, manticores, and more popular, the most well known, being griffins and hippogriffs, and even had previous mythological creatures where we combine ourselves with the animals to represent the human desires and animal aspects. The entire notion of centaurs and satyrs in Greek mythology are supposed to be representing our primal desires and male sexuality and also rage, and a lot of stories like this, and often consider them allegorical and blur the line between man and beast, and when is man better or worse than beast. And considering that the tales of werewolves and the extensive use in popular culture and media, and considering how of a social animal wolves are, I do not find it very unlikely that people would identify themselves with wolves and see many anthropomorphized characteristics of wolves that they can apply to themselves. and this is the very reason that I see myself as most like a wolf. I have very much the mentality of a wolf. I am a loyal packmate to many of my friends, and I am fiercely defendant of my friends for those who would do them wrong, and I am, you know, quite socially defensive and you know, very liberal person, and very kind of family and person orientated. But I also see myself on a bigger level as if I was a wolf, I would be the beta or omega pack. Because what I love about wolves is that even the omega wolves, who are bottom rank and may sometimes get picked on for play fighting, they are always going to be loved. They are an essential part of the pack. They are the comic relief. They are the ones that are keeping the pack tension down, and keeping it all together, and can often be seen as peacekeepers. Each pack member has their own role, and they are part of an extensive family. You have the traditional alphas, you have the betas who are somewhere in the middle, and the omegas who are bottom rank, but they are stress relievers, and they're an important part of the pack nonetheless, and they will be looked after, and they are respected just as much as any other member of the pack and any other member of the family. Now, I'm sure there are many other Therians, and each Therian can give their own specific reasons as to why they identify with the particular animal they do. But because of human studies with animals and relation to animal characteristics, anthropomorphizing them into, you know, human-like personality traits, that is why we identify them, and that is why often we can find ourselves as Therians feeling more like the animals, and feeling more close, and being you know, better and as or much like animals than we do with humans. While animals are by no means perfect, and they do not have the advanced civilization and creature comforts we do, I still feel that there is a lot to be desired in them. Yes, and that's a basic introduction to therianthropy. I don't think I have anything else to say. This is Nightmare060, and I shall see you all on Dark Side of the Moon. Enjoy the videos, and off and away.